I say, a little spooky. I know. Well, you can run. To date, I'm doing a kettlebell session I seen Dennis Vasilov had on his channel, which he got from Nice, France, I think, kettlebell club. It's called the Triple Double. So what it is, it's 2 minutes of jerk, 2 minutes of long cycle, and then 2 minutes of kettlebell snatch. It is with doubles, but because I wanted to focus on single bell unilateral training for a week or so, kind of work out any imbalances from the gym life, I'm doing it in 3 waves. So that's 3 12-minute sets. The first set's going to be with an 18 kilo bell. The second, a 20, and then we'll finish with a 24. In total, it'll be 36 minutes of work. There's 2 minutes off between each 12-minute round. Let me tell you, the DOMs that you get up in this area, if you're doing a bunch of push-ups or burpees, pretty good. Even training at the gym, doing pull downs with 180 pounds on the cable thingy, don't get that kind of DOMs. So that's nice. But anyway, this should be a fun thing. I was just going to do a bunch of snatches, but I thought, you know, this is kind of a hybrid between the things I wanted to do today. So I might as well just do this instead. It kind of incorporates all of it. So what I'm going to try to do is go all on one arm. So I'm going to start with the right, and then switch to the left after 6 minutes. That's the plan. To see how it feels after the jerks, I might just go 2 minutes on and then switch, same exercise, 2 minutes. I kind of do like that idea more because, like I said, this is a double bell thing that you're supposed to do for 6 minutes. So that would make a bit more sense. But we'll see. More than likely for the 20, I mean the 18 kilo, the starting one, I'll be able to do it. It won't be that big of a deal. 2 minutes of jerks, even with double 18s isn't a problem. See, I'm better on the left, really. Wait a minute. Oh, I fucked that up. I gotta speed through these. I only did 1 minute on there. You see, you do a new modality, and sometimes you forget that you're doing it. Surprised I made that mistake with the long cycle, because the long cycle isn't hard as a jerk. It's not as fatiguing. You are allowed to stop at like 10 to 15 seconds and put them down, but I'm not doing that. Because staying in rack position, although not actively an exercise, still more taxing than putting them down. hit 15 on those. So I got 29 long cycle on each arm. It is supposed to be half snatch. I just did full snatch on my first set. So I do believe I got 2 more reps on my left side with the snatch because I don't know, everything feels more stable from the left. Feels a little stronger. Yeah, the grip isn't as good, but that's from getting stabbed through the wrist pretty deeply. Still hasn't recovered fully from that. That was like 6 years ago. Probably a bit of damage. Yeah, that's basically, like that's 12 minutes non-stop. So what I did the other day, and the last one I recorded with kettlebells, I went 25 minutes every minute on the minute. But I was getting like 15, maybe 20 seconds of rest. And that stop is enough of a difference. So when you do the 10-minute plus sets, and you don't put the bell down, even if you're just wrapping it, like that set, I just kind of went as many reps as possible without really like a goal or anything. So I took the way I trained EMOMs and I just extended it for the whole 12 minutes. With kettlebell sport, it's not really about the reps, it's about doing it for time and keeping the bell going. So I'm going to do 16 jerks a minute with the 24, or the 20 rather. And then we'll see from there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, 16. Oh shit. 2, can't believe I did that again. 1, 2, 12. This is why I usually don't record new things until I've tried it once or so before. My apologies. 8. 12. 16. 8. 12. 1, 2, 3. 12, 13, There's no way I'm going to be able to hold on to this for 2 minutes. I can't even hold on to it past that. And I'd rather switch hands and put it down. You see the difference between time sets and EMOM? This is why I tell people, unless you're training specifically for sport, do EMOM. Because if you train at a good pace on EMOM for X amount of minutes, your rep output is going to be higher without the fatigue buildup. So this is really good way to illustrate that point. In addition to that, and Dennis in that video said the same thing that I've been saying. Switching from movement to movement in the same session is tougher because your body just can't get into that flow state. Okay. All right, so I took 1 minute off. So 23 minutes of work. My last single bell session, I did 480 or 490. I can't remember if I did 1 or 2 sets of double. So that's the difference. You can't get as many reps going straight through unless your technique is perfect. As you can tell, my sport technique is awful. In addition to that, I'm using the cast iron bells, which have thicker handles, which taxes the grip more. It makes it more awkward to get the right position for the jerk. So doing that for prolonged periods of time starts to hurt the wrists. It makes gripping it more difficult, so the snatches become way harder, especially when it gets wet. I don't have chalk, so I can't chalk my hands beforehand. So like, these cast iron bells make sport training more difficult. Now, the one way that I will do prolonged periods of time with these bells is to just alternate, alternating, do set a rep goal, and I've done it with single snatch, I've done it with clean and jerk. I've done 10-minute sets of snatch. I hit 212 reps the last time I did it on camera. You see what I do with the EMOMs. I get 10 or 15 seconds of rest at most with those 10 rep sets per arm, and I am able to smoke it for extended periods of time. So the reps are better, the work is better. I'm supposed to use a 24. It's probably not happening. I'll give it a shot, but whew. Hand changes. Gotta make it even. I have done a half-hour set of these before with just jerks. I didn't get anywhere near as many as I wanted, and it was way harder than I thought it would be. I'm pretty sure I uploaded that a couple months ago. But yeah, so that gives you an idea the difference between single and double bell training. I mean, wow. Well, I mean, even that though, with these big movements, oftentimes it's better to just do double. Like, it's a little bit easier if you just rack it and you set a goal. So like I said, take that first set for example. If I had done it for, I'll do demo now. This is demo now. My rack, like this is real bad. Like I said, pressing it on the hips really constrains my breathing. That's another issue I have with it. That's where I think a belt would help, because then I could dig the forearm into the belt and just let the belt support the weight, which is I think what they use them for. I think that's 2 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and do, I'm too exhausted to do double snatch, not having trained it in a while. So I'm just gonna do long cycle here. But yeah, this is the difference between time training and EMOM training, especially when the time sets are 12 minutes and you're going up in weight. Like, I could take these bells fresh and do 240 reps of long cycle in half an hour. The other issue is single bell, especially the longer you go, you are using more stabilizer muscles because your body's leaning to one side. So that really does kind of like hyper engage the core. Not that double bell doesn't, it does. And I would say I feel more core activation doing double kettlebell jerks and snatches than I do heavy barbell squats. The only thing that comes close is a deadlift, and that's because it puts more load on the posterior chain. But even then, I'm having to go up to like 300-ish pounds in order to really feel it. So the only type of training I could think that would benefit straight time sets would be running, like probably incline running. That is really the only thing I can think of that would help with that. Because like I said, you put the weights down, even if it's only 10 or 15 seconds. That 10 or 15 seconds with no weight on you, because it's not a very heavy weight, it's a heavy weight to use repeatedly. And towards the end of a half an hour EMOM with doubles, if you're doing long cycle, you're gonna feel it. But you're gonna have enough wind after each set to pick it back up and keep going through it. With time sets, that's not the case, because you're just holding it for X amount of time. So I would say start with 1 minute on, 1 minute off, 2 minutes on, 1 minute off, 3 minutes on, 1 minute off, and then go back down. So you would do 9 minutes. Or you could add the extra 3 and do 12 minutes and do it that way. But yeah, time sets are a whole different beast, honestly. They're just fucking ridiculous. You just burn out quick. I don't tend to do them because I'm not really chasing a burn when I do kettlebells. I'm chasing endurance. Like, I know that sounds dumb to say because with sport training you're going for X amount of time. But like in real life, what are you going constantly nonstop? Almost never. Usually it's broken up. So what I like to do is train really hard for X amount of time, then take a bit of a wind, and then go back at it, and do that over and over again. I feel like that mimics more realistic shit. But like that first 12 minutes, not too bad. 2 minutes off, second 12 minutes, now we're getting a little rough. So what I like is that kettlebell pentathlon thing, because that is 6 minute rounds, and then you get a 5 minute break. So maybe it was kind of dumb for me to think, or rather naive, to think I was going to get the 3 big kettlebell lifts for a consecutive 12 minutes, 3 sets going up in weight. I did it with the 20, I made it through. But the 24, like, there was just no way that was happening consistently. Another example, you can go back and look at my ladders, the snatch and jerk ladders. The fatigue sustained from doing straight minute sets like that, I would say 10 plus minutes. I don't think 5 minute sets are that damaging. Even the 6 minute sets, the 3 times I've done the pentathlon, the first 2 times was pretty easy. The second time, I did it with a 24, and I only tripped up at the jerks. And I do believe I uploaded that one too. I know I recorded it. And I only took a 2 minute break on that last one. I didn't take the full 5 minutes. I got a little cocky. The other 2 times I've done it with the 20, and I took the full 5 minutes. It really wasn't that bad, despite what everyone says. And I know you can pick different weights for it, but I thought the 20 was a good enough weight to do the whole thing. But yeah, the fatigue buildup from doing those 10 plus minute sets is real, especially when you're just doing the big 3. If I ran through and just done some swings and some cleans you know, gladiator style or Dan John's armor builder, no problem. The weight's not light enough to fatigue you when you're doing grindy lifts. But when you're doing the big explosive lifts, it's just a different type of stimulus. So if I go back to doing time sets, first of all, I'm going to start with just a long cycle. I have gotten up to to 5-minute rounds with a double long cycle. So I think the next time I train for time, I'm going to go 1 minute on, 1 minute off. 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. 3 on, 1 off, 4 on, 1 off, 5 on, 1 off. That's 15 minutes of work with 5 minutes of rest. And the rep goal will probably be around 12 a minute. And that's the thing, when you set time too, you have to have a pace in mind, right? You can't just go all out like I did on my first set. That is probably why I wasn't able to finish, because I was just going all out on that first 12 minutes, get as many reps as I could. The mentality is different. When you do EMOM, you want to hit those reps, or at least I do. I want to hit those reps as quickly as possible, as explosively as possible, and then put the weight down for 20 seconds or so. When I do my 20 rep snatches sets per minute, I get about 15 seconds of rest. So it's not that long. But I can do that for 20, 25 minutes. That workout the other day, I kept that pace through the whole 25 minutes straight. I did switch to jerk, but that's because my grip was going on the snatch, so I had to switch it up. Or I was going to launch the kettlebell into the kitchen cabinet, which I didn't want to do. So that's the difference. Which one's more effective depends on your goals. If you want to get good at kettlebell sport, you got to train time sets, and you should probably have competition bells. Although there is, so the weights are more awkward, the cast iron bells, the handles are thicker. So you could say, oh, well, I'll train with those because then it makes it harder. Like training with, like let's say in medieval times, they trained with wooden weapons that were 2 or 3 times the weight of their real weapons. The problem with that, with something like this, is that the technique is totally different. I probably should not try and use a sport grip when I am doing the jerks with these. I should probably use a more hard style grip. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to launch my hand in here like you would with the sport bells. What I probably should be doing is more upright like this, and then just doing it that way. But I really like that. That is more comfortable to a point, but it really fatigues the grip. So when you do that over and over again, it just... So yeah, sport and EMOM training. I think EMOM training is good for everyday life. Nothing really rivals sport training if the goal is to do kettlebell sport, because it is mostly technique. And my technique for kettlebell sport is terrible. I don't understand the way they do it. I don't understand how they do their snatch. I don't get how they jerk it the way that they do it. Yeah, it's all technique. Obviously the top guys are really, really fit, and it's more than just technique. But if you don't have the technique down, you can't get to be really top level at kettlebell sport. I mean, unless you just build up a ridiculous amount of fortitude, I guess it's possible. So I would say running is probably the best thing that helps with kettlebell sport, besides just training time sets. So what I want to try out is the triple double with actual double kettlebells. So I'm going to do that next week. because for the rest, like today's Sunday, August 10th, I think. Yeah, 10th. So through the 11th, through that week, through the 18th, I'm going to be doing single bell training and some body weight training to try to unscrew the knee pain and the hip pain. And most of the knee pain is gone, by the way. So jumping lunges and the deep squat sits and holds are pretty effective at helping knee pain. So this week I'm primarily going to do single bell training and some body weight training. I would like to get good at push-ups again. Not that I think it'll help with sport at all, because most of the stress from sport is on my grip, the flexors in here. One, due to the thicker bells, and then just, holding on to it for that long is going to be a challenge. So the only kettlebell lift that is really taxing on any particular muscle for me, at least with the weights that I have, is the jerk. That one does get hard, the lockout, especially when I'm already kind of sore. It sucks. The long cycle is not bad because it's clean, then jerk, clean, then jerk, holding a rack for a couple seconds, clean, then jerk. You're not building up the systemic fatigue. And then the snatch is basically all cardio until your grip starts to give out, and then you have to tweak your form a little bit to do it. But if your grip doesn't give out, the snatch is all cardio. It's not really an issue. There is no real muscular strain with the snatch. It's pretty much cardio. It's high intensity ballistic cardio, but it's still cardio. Yeah, you see how drenched though from that. Those time sets are just a different animal. But yeah, that felt pretty good. I would equate that to hill sprinting again. Maybe not quite as bad, because I did do some sprints, like I said, on the treadmill the other day at a 6-degree incline at 8.2 miles per hour for the sprinting speed. And then I had sustained runs of 3 and 4 minutes roughly at 7 and 7.2. So my heart rate was a bit higher with that, but the fatigue did not build up the same way. So there is a give and take. This is more fatigue, but like muscular strain, the heart rate does not climb as high. So that's why I think running is probably a good idea if you want to do sport, running, and then hill running specifically. Because if you're good at this, I did get 2 12-minute sets straight through with the big weights. Yeah, I switched off an arm every minute instead of 2 minutes. But really that doesn't change the output, it just changes the fatigue buildup on one arm. The amount of work is still the same. It actually might be higher because I'm a little more fresh. That's another way you can do time sets and kind of do X amount of reps per side and then switch. Because then it comes down to your cardio and not how much you can output on your side. The problem with that is kettlebell sport generally only allows one switch. So you do have to train that endurance component. So if you have unlimited hand switches, which they're half an hour and longer, like they're half marathon and marathon sets, which are half an hour and an hour respectively, those have unlimited hand changes. The 10-minute sets have one hand change. So take that how you will. I would rather do a half an hour set with unlimited hand changes than do a 10-minute set with one hand change. Honestly, I really would. That's how much the muscular fatigue plays an impact on this type of training. But yeah, good session. I haven't done a timed session in quite a while. The closest was the other day with the snatch. But again, that was not a true time set. That wasn't EMOM, even though it was only 10 to 15 seconds between each round. And I did do 320 snatches in 16 minutes, which is pretty good, I think. And then my total snatches, I think, was 380. because I definitely had around 110 jerks or something like that. So that was good. I don't think there's anything else to say. I think I demonstrated the difference between EMOMs and time sets pretty well. That's a fun one. Next week I will try it with the doubles, like the way it's written. And I'll do it with double 20s because I think, I'm pretty sure I can put up with just a 6-minute set. Like, I don't think that's going to be that bad. That's another thing with time training. It's exponentially worse the more time you add, believe it or not. So you can probably crush a 5-minute set with a minute or two between, rest. But if you try to do an 8-minute set, it might crumble you, and you're like, what the fuck? I can do 3 5-minute sets with a 2-minute rest, but an 8-minute set is what gets me. That's just the nature of doing timed work like that. So you just got to build up the threshold. I, however, like to just jump in without without training for it, because you figure with lifting weights, you're not doing time. I'm taking, especially on the heavier sets, I'm taking 2 to 4 minutes. With those deadlifts, I was going up to 4-minute breaks so I could lift as much weight as possible. With my set of 12 squats, I was taking 2 to 3 minutes of rest. So for the past 4 weeks or so, I've really gotten used to just, EMOM style, but like every 4 minutes. I did do some kettlebell work, but it was shit that I knew I could handle. So it wasn't like this. This is totally different. As to which one's better for everyday life, I don't really think there's a point in training extra long sets. I don't think you need to do 10-minute plus kettlebell sets without putting the weight down. I just can't think of, and I've done roofing before, okay? And I just can't think of anything where you need to be able to do 10-minute kettlebell work. I don't see what that's really applicable to. Honestly, I just don't. I think EMOM training is superior in every regard except specifically training for kettlebell sport. And like I said too, if you have the technique down, if you look at a lot of the people that do kettlebell sport, they don't look athletic at all. They don't look strong at all. They don't look like they have any appreciable visible muscle mass. They just look like, a lot of them look skinny fat, honestly. You look at them and be like, you don't even lift. You don't look like you can do anything. And then they'll do 1,000 reps in half an hour, and you're like, what the fuck? Because it's mostly technique. And if you can get the technique down really well, you can do a lot of work. So I don't really think training for kettlebell sport is useful unless your goal is kettlebell sport. It's a fun challenge once in a while, which is how I like to do it. But I do think EMOM is better. Yeah, I think EMOM training is better. And then doing complexes is actually better than that. Yeah, complexes are better than doing straight minute sets, because with a complex, you get that burn, but you're doing grindy lifts in your complex. So that muscular fatigue accumulates faster. But then you get to put the weight down and take some breath. So you get to work on it. So if you want hypertrophy, you're better off training complexes than you are sport or EMOM training. EMOM training is not about building up muscular fatigue at all. EMOM training is about working really fucking hard for a prescribed amount, then putting it down, taking a couple breaths, and then going right back at it, and then doing that for a sustained period of time. That's EMOM training. And then complexes is more about general fitness, or your GPP. So that'd be like a swing, clean, squat, press type of thing. In fact, this is a very basic kettlebell complex that everyone should start with if they're new to dumbbell training. So if you're new to double bell training, this is what I recommend. This is the complex that I started double bell training with. And I just think it's really good because it hits all your basics. I really don't want to squat, but I'll do it for y'all. And then you would do the swing again. You see how much longer the exhaustion lasts too, compared to EMOMs? Those time sets can really knock the shit out of you. That's why I'm very impressed by guys like Denis Vasilov, because he's not just techniquing his way through it. Yeah, that's a factor. Well, you can tell that dude is seriously fucking fit. And like Joe Daniels too, like same thing. I don't think he trains sport very much anymore. But like, he was pretty fucking good at it. And he was huge too. Obviously the heavier you are, the harder it gets. Because when you do a jerk, that's your body weight plus the weight overhead that you're jerking. And Joe Daniels probably like 240. And that guy fucking crushed it. Like, those people are really impressive. The people that just kind of like do time sets, but their reps are really fucking low, or they're like just kind of techniquing their way through it and not really putting any force into it, I don't really take those guys seriously, because if you put them in any other type of event, they're going to suck. They're not going to be able to lift heavy. They're not going to be able to go through a proper EMOM set. If you make them do something that isn't sport without sport technique, they're going to fail. And that's what I don't like about that. Yeah. So now I'm at the point where I'm just kind of rambling because I don't know what else to say. I should probably stop talking. This video is an hour long. That's ridiculous. It's going to take forever to upload. All right. Peace.